Have you ever wondered what lurks in the vast, unforgiving deserts of the American Southwest? Where the line between myth and reality blurs under the relentless sun. Stories of skinwalkers, those ancient Navajo shapeshifters, said to wear the skins of animals and wield dark magic, have whispered through generations. But what if they're more than just legends? What if ordinary people, like you or me, have crossed paths with these horrors and lived to tell the tale? I've come across accounts that chill the blood, shared in hushed tones by those who swear they're true. Let me take you through 3 such encounters, pieced together from the words of the witnesses themselves. Listen closely, because once you hear them, you might start questioning every shadow that moves just out of sight. The first account comes from a man named Elias, a ranch hand in rural New Mexico, back in the summer of 2018. I was out mending fences on the edge of the property, the kind of work that leaves you alone with your thoughts and the endless horizon. The sun was dipping low, painting the sky in bloody reds and oranges, and the air had that heavy stillness before dusk. I'd heard the old Navajo tales from the locals, Skinwalkers. They called them witches who could steal your form and twist your soul. But I was a skeptic, raised on facts and hard labor, not superstitions. That evening, though, something felt off. The cattle were restless, lowing in a way that wasn't normal, clustering together like they sensed a predator. I shrugged it off as coyotes, maybe a mountain lion prowling nearby. As I hammered the last post into the dry earth, a chill ran up my spine despite the lingering heat. I glanced up and saw it a figure standing maybe 100 yards away, silhouetted against the fading light. It looked human at first, tall and lean, but its posture was wrong hunched, like it was imitating a man but forgetting the details. I called out, thinking it was a trespasser or one of the neighbors. No answer. The figure just stood there, watching. My heart started pounding as I noticed the way it moved, when it finally shifted jerky, unnatural, like bones grinding under skin that didn't fit right. I grabbed my rifle from the truck, more for comfort than anything, and yelled again. That's when it started walking toward me, slow at first, then picking up speed. But it wasn't walking, it was loping, like a wolf on 2 legs. The closer it got, the more I saw its eyes gleamed yellow in the twilight, reflecting light that shouldn't have been there. Its skin looked patchy, like it was wearing a hide that was too loose, sagging in places. I fired a warning shot into the air, the crack echoing across the plain. It didn't flinch. Instead, it dropped to all 4s and charged, faster than any man could run. Panic hit me like a freight train. I bolted for the truck, slamming the door just as it rammed into the side, the metal denting with a sickening thud. Through the window, I saw its face up-close human features twisted into something feral, teeth bared in a grin that stretched too wide. The engine roared to life, and I peeled out, dust kicking up behind me. In the rear view, it pursued for a mile, matching my speed on 4 legs before veering off into the scrub. I didn't stop until I reached the ranch house, bursting in and babbling to my boss about what I'd seen. He went pale, muttering about Neld Lushi, the Navajo word for skinwalker. He said they targeted those who disrespected the land or spoke their name aloud. I'd laughed off those stories before, but that night, as I lay awake, I heard scratching at the door, faint and deliberate. The next morning, we found tracks around the house, human footprints that morphed into paw prints midway. I quit the ranch soon after, But sometimes, when the wind howls, I swear I hear that same loping gait outside my window. Shifting to the second encounter, this one from a woman named Sarah, a hiker, exploring the canyons near the Four Corners region in early 2020. I'd always been drawn to the wild places, where the red rocks tower like ancient guardians, and the silence swallows your thoughts. That trip was supposed to be a solo adventure, a chance to clear my head after a rough year. I set up camp in a secluded slot canyon, the walls rising sheer on either side, etched with petroglyphs that told stories older than time. As night fell, the stars exploded overhead, but the air grew unnaturally cold, like the desert was holding its breath. I built a small fire, roasting marshmallows and journaling by the flickering light. That's when I first heard the voice, my voice, echoing back from the darkness beyond the camp. At first, I thought it was an echo, some acoustic trick of the canyon. But it wasn't repeating my words, it was mimicking them, twisting them into whispers that sounded like pleas for help. Sarah, come here. I'm hurt. It was my exact tone, laced with pain. My blood ran cold. I scanned the shadows with my flashlight, the beam cutting through the night like a knife. Nothing. Just rocks and scrub brush. I called out, "Who's there?" And it answered, closer now, "Who's there?" But the inflection was off, mocking, like a parrot with malice. I doused the fire, hoping to hide, and retreated to my tent, zipping it shut with shaking hands. The whispers continued, circling the camp, sometimes laughing in my voice, sometimes crying. Hours passed, or maybe minutes' time blurred in the terror. Then, the scratching started on the tent fabric, slow and rhythmic, like nails testing for weakness. I clutched my knife, heart hammering, as a silhouette pressed against the nylon, a humanoid shape, but elongated, with limbs that bent wrong. It pushed harder, the material bowing inward, and I slashed at it wildly. A yelp echoed, not human, more like a wounded animal. And the pressure released. I didn't wait for dawn. I packed in the dark and fled, stumbling through the canyon with my headlamp. Behind me, footsteps matched mine, 2 legs, then 4, then 2 again. I glanced back once and saw it, a coyote standing upright, its fur matted and eyes glowing with intelligence. That wasn't animal. It wore something around its neck, a necklace I'd lost earlier that day. How? I ran faster. The canyon walls closing in like a trap. By some miracle, I reached my car at the trailhead as the sky lightened. Driving away, I looked in the mirror and saw my reflection smile back. But it wasn't my smile, it was too wide, too knowing. For weeks after, I'd catch glimpses of myself in windows, but the eyes weren't mine. They were yellow, watching. Now, the third account, perhaps the most unsettling, from a young couple, Mark and Lena, on a road trip through Arizona in the fall of 2022. We were young and reckless, chasing sunsets and freedom on the open road, our old SUV packed with camping gear and dreams. We'd heard warnings about sticking to main highways at night, but we ignored them, taking a detour onto a dusty back road to stargaze away from the lights. The Navajo reservation stretched around us, vast and empty, the kind of place where you feel small and exposed. Around midnight, our engine sputtered and died, no warning, just silence. We coasted to the shoulder, popped the hood, but neither of us knew much about cars. No cell signal. Of course, we were in the middle of nowhere. Lena suggested we wait for morning, huddle in the car. I agreed, but unease gnawed at me. The night was too quiet, no crickets, no wind, just our breathing. Then, from the darkness, came a howl, not a coyote's yip, but something deeper, more human in its agony. It echoed, joined by others, circling us. We locked the doors, lights off to save battery. Shapes moved in the periphery, shadows darting between cacti. Too fast for animals, too deliberate for wind. One approached the window, pressing a hand palm flat against the glass. But it wasn't a hand, fingers elongated into claws, skin peeling like old leather. Lena screamed, and I hit the high beams. There it was, a thing that looked like me, wearing my face but contorted, eyes black voids. It smiled, teeth sharp and stained, and spoke in my voice, "Let me in, Lena." "It's cold out here," she whimpered, clutching me, but the real me. More gathered creatures mimicking us, some half-animal, first sprouting from human forms, others naked and twisted, joints popping as they shifted. We barricaded ourselves, praying for dawn. They scratched at the doors, whispering secrets only we knew, private arguments, childhood fears proving they'd been watching, listening. One, in Lena's likeness, pressed its face to the windshield, tongue lolling like a dog's, eyes pleading, then furious. Hours dragged. The battery dying, lights dimming. In the fading glow, they closed in, bodies contorting, skins sloughing off to reveal glistening muscle beneath. Just as despair set in, a truck's headlights pierced the night, a reservation police officer on patrol. The creatures scattered, melting into the desert like smoke. He towed us to safety, face grim as he muttered about skinwalkers, cursing those who stray. Our car. Sabotaged wires chewed through, but not by teeth, by something precise, intelligent. We never spoke of it again, but sometimes, in mirrors, we see each other shift, just a flicker. A reminder they're still out there, wearing our skins. These tales, shared in fragments over years, paint a picture of beings that defy explanation, skinwalkers, bridging the world of man and beast with malevolent intent. But as I delved deeper, piecing them together, a pattern emerged that I couldn't ignore. Elias mentioned a peculiar mark on the figure's hide, like a branded symbol. Sarah described the necklace, etched with the same rune. And Mark and Lena, the officer who saved them, bore a tattoo of that very design on his arm, hidden under his sleeve, but glimpsed in the truck's light. What if these encounters aren't random? What if the skinwalkers aren't hunting blindly, but guarding something or someone? Digging into old records, I found whispers of a Navajo shaman lineage, protectors turned corrupt, using skinwalker magic to silence intruders. The twist that haunts me, the officer, the one who saved the couple, was seen later in the desert, shedding his uniform for fur, yellow eyes gleaming. Were these witnesses spared or marked? And if they're still out there, mimicking voices, stealing faces, who's to say the next whisper in the night isn't them, calling your name? The desert holds its secrets tight, but these accounts suggest the skinwalkers are evolving, infiltrating closer to civilization. Elias, after quitting the ranch, moved to a city, but reported strange doppelgangers in crowds, people with his gait, his voice, but eyes that didn't match. He vanished last year, last seen walking into the wilderness, or so the report says. Sarah, the hiker, started a blog about her experience, but entries grew erratic. It's in my house now, wearing my clothes, sleeping in my bed. The blog went dark, her apartment found empty, paw prints on the carpet leading to an open window. Mark and Lena. They split up, paranoia tearing them apart. Mark claims Lena wasn't Lena anymore after that night, small changes, like forgetting shared memories, or her shadow stretching too long in the sun. She denies it, but in photos, her smile seems wider, teeth sharper. Imagine driving those lonely roads, the horizon endless, and spotting a hitchhiker who looks just like a loved one, waving you down. Would you stop? The air thickens with dust and dread, every rustle in the brush a potential shift from human to horror. These beings, if real, don't just kill, they invade, erode your sense of self until you're questioning your own reflection. The Navajo warn against speaking their name, lest you invite them in. But in sharing these, perhaps I've done just that, drawn their gaze. Nights now, I hear echoes in my home, faint mimics of my typing, my breathing. Is it paranoia or something more? Let's delve deeper into Elias's story, fleshing out the days leading up. He'd been noticing oddities on the ranch for weeks, cattle mutilated not by predators, but surgically, organs removed with precision no animal could achieve. Whispers among the workers of a curse, tied to an old burial ground disturbed by fencing. That fateful evening, as the figure approached, Elias recalled a stench like rotting meat mixed with sage, a ritualistic burn. When it rammed the truck, he felt not just impact, but a psychic probe, memories flashing unbidden childhood fears, regrets. Escaping, he drove blindly, but the radio crackled to life on its own, broadcasting his voice confessing sins he never spoke aloud. At the ranch house, his boss didn't just mutter, he performed a smudging ceremony, burning cedar to ward off evil, eyes darting as if he'd seen this before. The tracks the next morning, they circled the house 3 times, a number sacred and ominous in Navajo lore. Sarah's canyon held its own history, petroglyphs depicting shapeshifters, warnings carved by ancestors. Her lost necklace wasn't random, she'd found it earlier, half buried in sand, an artifact perhaps cursed. The mimicking voice didn't just plead, it revealed intimacies, her ex's betrayals, her mother's dying words, knowledge no stranger could have. Slashing the tent, she drew blood, black and viscous, staining the knife. Fleeing, the footsteps synced perfectly with hers, as if learning her rhythm. At the car, starting the engine, the radio again, her voice singing a lullaby from childhood, but backwards, distorted. Home. The wrong eyes in mirrors persisted, and she sought a medicine man who confirmed she'd been touched. A piece of her essence stolen, allowing the Skinwalker to peer through her gaze. For Mark and Lena, the back road was no detour, GPS glitches led them there. Screens flickering with unfamiliar symbols. The howls carried names, their names interwoven. The mimicking creatures didn't just copy appearances, they enacted scenes from their life, arguing in their voices outside the car, revealing infidelities neither admitted. The hand on the glass left residue, analyzed later as human skin cells mixed with canine DNA, impossible. The officer's arrival, too timely, his truck emerging from nowhere. In the Tao, he spoke little, but his radio hissed static laced with their whispers. Post-incident, their car repairs revealed sabotage, wires not chewed, but woven into patterns resembling Navajo weaves. Mark's paranoia peaked when he saw Lena eat raw meat, eyes glazing yellow momentarily. She countered, claiming he howled in his sleep. Connecting these, the symbol, a twisted cross within a circle, appears in all, a sigil for binding spirits. Research uncovers a rogue clan of skinwalkers, once guardians, now predators, using modern tech to lure victims, hacked GPS, radio interference. The twist deepens. Witnesses like Elias, Sarah, Mark, Lena, their names form an anagram for Ye Naldlushi Lair, a hidden canyon site. Coincidence? Or were they chosen? Their stories breadcrumbs leading to a greater horror. Investigators vanishing while probing. Reports of mass gatherings where humans shed skins en masse. The atmosphere builds. Imagine the desert's heat by day, cold by night, every sound amplified. A coyote's call morphs into laughter. Footsteps approach but never arrive. Isolation breeds madness. Doubts fester. Is that your partner beside you, or an imposter? Skinwalkers don't just terrify, they corrupt, turning trust to ash. Elias's disappearance, not voluntary, tracks led away, human to paw. Sarah's empty apartment mirror shattered, shards reflecting yellow eyes. Mark and Lena, one message from Mark before silence. She's not her. Run. What if the officer is the key, a Skinwalker hybrid, patrolling to collect souls? His tattoo, the sigil, Mark's initiates. Revelations point to a network, Skinwalkers infiltrating society cops, hikers, ranchers wearing faces like masks. The shocking end, these stories aren't separate, they're linked by a single entity, jumping hosts. Elias became the figure Sarah saw, Sarah the mimic for Mark and Lena, and now, the officer's face. It resembles mine, from photos I've seen. Wait, that's impossible. Unless the whispers in my home aren't echoes. They're me, from the other side. Have I been telling their stories, or mine? The twist, I'm not the narrator, I'm the next vessel. Listen, do you hear it? Your voice, calling from the shadows. It's here,